Josh, there hasn't been changes since the one I sent you last night, right?
There has.
Okay.
So
you want me to pull it up from the shared drive? Okay, let me pull it up.
But I'll start sharing it right now.
Do you want me to share it?
I got it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Do you see it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect.
So if people are in the lobby, are you okay if we start letting them in, or do you want to, should we give ourselves a second to breathe?
Yeah, let me just make sure that
We're still early.
Yeah.
Inhale and exhale.
What do they say in yoga? It's
Namaste.
Namaste.
So and I don't necessarily have to share the attendance or the motions, correct?
You don't. It sometimes, I mean, it might make it easier if you have.
If they can also.
The attendance or the motions. The motions are going to be on the PowerPoint, right?
Yeah. So I'm talking about this right here. So like if someone's present, I boop, go in there, boop.
You might want to have it up because it might make it easier. It is a little small though, but not a requirement. I think you're right. We don't normally show that.
Yeah, I can definitely toggle, no problem.
Okay.
And is this a little bit better?
Yeah.
I might have to make it.
I can start like telling you who's here. Kimberly McKinley. If you're okay, I'll let folks in and just let them know to mute themselves. I'll kind of give them the warm welcome.
Yeah,
and I can get started in a few minutes. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, guys, filters on. Just kidding. Laura,
I made it back.
Yay! Adding people in. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We want to remind you to mute your devices. We still have a few minutes before we get started. We are recording.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Karen. Team.
Good morning. It sounds like a little feedback.
Love it. Love the energy. Good morning. Still letting folks in.
Tanya, I'm on time because I'm going to have to leave early.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad you were able to make it. All good.
Natalis, I'll be calling you in a minute. Got your email.
Yes, I'm sorry for the short, but then somehow I did not get the other replies. So.
She's on vacation, so we'll figure something out.
Yes, we'll get it done.
Hi, all. I'm muting all participants, but please, by all means, feel free to unmute yourselves throughout the meeting, especially during public comments. We want to hear from you. I'm just trying to make sure we control noise and that yucky, echoey sound we all hear sometimes. But thank you for joining us for our monthly Continuum of Care meeting. Both of our chairs, Greg Rodriguez and Karen Roper, are on and ready. We have Josh Samizuski, our community program specialist, and Melanie, who are going to be co-facilitating this meeting. Still letting quite a few people in. This is a popular meeting. Reminder to folks to mute your phone. Trying to do that as I let folks in, but I may not be quick enough. And then if you can, begin to sign in. I see that Karen and Hafsa already started us off, but if you could type in your name, agency in the chat box, we'll use that to begin checking you in. Still letting quite a few folks in, Greg and Karen, just so you know.
No worries.
Tanya, I just opened the lobby, so you shouldn't, if anyone's
Whoa.
able to bypass the lobby now and you won't have to admit them individually.
Who knew you could do that? I certainly didn't.
Oh, I did. I do it every time. I love that feature. I usually don't until I open the lobby, and then I'll change that. But the meeting organizer has to do it.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you're the meeting organizer and not me.
Thanks. I'm going to work on that other issue we got this morning going on, but Laura and Josh will be covering what I usually do on the meetings here, so I can focus on that.
Perfect. You guys are the bomb.com. Thank you. It's 10:02. Josh, how are you feeling on your end? Are we at a good place to start?
I think we're good if everyone else is ready. And as Tanya said, if you could please put your name in the chat box. I'm going to do the roll call in a few minutes when we get started. I'll go down the list, and it's just helpful to have your name and organization in the chat box just in case I miss anyone, and can look at a future date. So with that being said, I think we can get started. What do you think, Greg?
Alrighty, good morning, everybody. We will call the Continuum of Care Wednesday, March 24th meeting to order. Just a couple of housekeeping reminders again. If you're not speaking, please mute yourself. Try and use, as we go through public comments or comments on agenda items, if you can try and use the raised hand feature, that will help and monitor that, as well as staff in helping with that. Josh, I want to say thanks for the PowerPoint. They get better and better every week, so it looks fantastic. And also want to welcome one of our new voting members, the Transgender Health and Wellness Center. I'm not sure if we have, looks like, yeah, we have Kennedy on. I'm not sure if Tommy's on as well. I've had the pleasure of working with Tommy for years and just impressed with not only her, but her entire staff and how far they've come. So I'm really happy that they're part of the Continuum of Care now. So welcome. With that being said, Josh, why don't we go to roll call?
I think that's a great idea. So I'm going to pull up our roll call log so that everyone can see where I'm at and hear me too. All right. So we will start with Catholic Charities.
Good morning, this is Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica. Let's try this again. Uh-oh.
Maybe I gave you compliments too early, Josh.
I know, look at this. All right, CityNet. No one from CityNet, Tyler? All right, City of Corona.
Yes, good morning. Karen Roper here.
Thank you, Karen. City of Eastvale.
Good morning, this is Ava.
Thank you, Ava. City of Hemet. City of Lake Elsinore. City of Menifee.
Good morning, Edna LeBron.
Thank you, Edna. City of Moreno Valley. City of Paris. City of Riverside. I saw you here, Hafsa.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
morning. Coachella Valley Association of Governments, CVAG.
Tom Cox here.
Morning.
Appreciate it. Coachella Valley Coalition on Youth Homelessness. Jim, are you here? CVRM, Coachella Valley Rescue Mission.
Morning, Kimberly McKinney here for CVRM. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Kimberly, how you doing? Community Health Association, Inland Southern.
This is Brianna.
Thank you, Brianna. Department of Public Social Services.
Hi, Renee Hexstead here with HSP DPSS.
Okay. And do you mind putting your name in the chat, please? Just in case.
I will. Yes.
Thank you so much. We'll put that there. Family Promise of Riverside. Habitat for Humanity. Help for Future Leaders.
This is Janetta from Help for Future Leaders.
Perfect. And can you please put your name in the chat box?
I'm actually dialed in from the phone.
Dialed in. Okay. And what was your name? I'm sorry.
Janetta from Help for Future Leaders.
Okay. Sorry if I spelled your name wrong. Housing and Action. Jewish Family Services.
Good morning, this is Becky.
Hey, Becky, thank you. Lighthouse Social Service Centers.
Susan Kirshner.
Thank you, Susan. Lutheran Social Services. Martha's Village and Kitchen.
Linda Barak.
Linda. Mercy House.
Good morning, Dave Jacobs.
Thank you. Molina Healthcare.
Good morning, Jacqueline Portilla.
Operation Safe House.
Good morning, Sandra Dunn is here.
Thank you, Sandra. Path of Life Ministries. Anyone from Path of Life?
Yes, I'm here, but for some reason, my name is not on there as secondary anymore, so I'm not sure. This is Leonard Jarman, but I'll check with Casey. She's in the building.
Okay, thanks, Leonard. We'll make sure we note that. Riverside County Department of Animal Services. Emma, I think I saw you on earlier.
Yes, good morning. Thank you.
Morning, thank you. Riverside County Office of Education.
Good morning, Susan Levine, standing in for Stefan McPeace.
Okay, are you able to put your name in the chat, please?
Sure will.
Thank you so much. Okay. Riverside County Sheriff Station, Hot Team.
We're here.
Thank you. Riverside University Health System, Behavioral Health.
Good morning, Marcus Cannon.
Hey, Marcus.
Morning, Josh.
Morning. Shelter from the Storm.
Good morning, Angelina Coe here.
Thank you. Social Work Action Group. Anyone from SWAG? Step Up on Second.
Present.
UCR Health.
This is
United
Catherine
Way.
Hansen. This is Catherine Hansen. I'm present.
Oh, perfect for UCR Health. Thank you, Catherine. United Way of Inland Valleys.
Ken Bell, good morning.
Who's Keith?
US Vets. VA Loma Linda.
Good morning, this is Oscar Ramirez.
Thank you, Oscar. And last but not least, Valley Restart. Anyone from Valley Restart?
I just have to say my hand.
Okay. Also, I'm going to add Transgender Health and Wellness Center. So they're a new member.
Can anybody hear me?
Welcome.
Yes.
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Benjamin Schuler from the Hole in the Wall, Inc. I didn't hear my name called.
Okay. Put your name in the chat, and I'll make sure I email you afterwards to make sure that you have membership and voting rights.
Is he?
Okay.
Don't worry about it. I got it.
Trustee Bailey, Path Lab is here.
Oh. Hold on one second. I'm sorry, who was that?
Rusty Bailey, Path Lab.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you, Rusty. We got you there. And then is anybody here from Transgender Health and Wellness Center?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm transmitting, but this is Kennedy from the Transgender Health and Wellness Center.
Okay, I'll be sure to add your name to the list in the future if you, and I'll reach out to you directly, okay?
Okay.
Josh, this is Cordell, Access Foundation. I'm not on the list.
All right. Let me make sure I add you there, Cordell. Sorry about that.
Josh, I got a couple of hands raised in the chat. So Denise Stoll.
Good morning. This is Denise Stoll from Every Woman Counts program, Desert Sierra.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Put your name in the chat box. We'll see if, and I will add you to this list, okay?
Oh, I did put it, but you want me to do it again?
No, as long as it's in there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is just a reminder that, so the roll call is for the voting members who have attended at least 3 meetings in a row and have submitted, of course, their application. So, and if you put your name and organization in the chat, then staff will make sure they're looking at past attendance to add to the permanent voting list.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. Appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you so much, Greg. And we should be done our road call for voting members, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
All right.
Good morning. This is Secretary from Riverside County Probation.
Thank you for that.
And then Colleen Wallace.
Hello, my name is Colleen Wallace. I'm the city of Banning. I'm the mayor. I already put my application in a while back, so this is my first meeting.
Great.
Welcome, Mayor. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, glad to have you on board. And Mayor Wallace, make sure that you put your name and banning it in the chat. We got that.
I did.
And I see Linda from the city of Emmett, correct?
Yes, Linda Krupa, City of Hemet. I am here. Thank you.
Good to see you, Linda. So, Judy Shea. I don't know if maybe you're just having a problem with your raised hand because I know it's been raised for a bit. So if we've called on you already and your hand's still raised, if you could lower it, that will help. And then
Judy Shea, Desert Hot Springs Community Task Force.
All right, great. Thanks, Judy. All right. And then Josh, just to make known, staff, I know that Desert Healthcare District, this is their 3rd meeting, so if we can make sure they're a voting member next time as well. And I know Donna put her info in the chat, so.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Greg.
All right, I think we've got it taken care of.
Said at the end of the meeting, so maybe it'll pop.
And then once again, if you're not speaking, if you could place yourself on mute. All right, thanks everyone for your patience. It's great to see the level of participation, especially we're getting a lot of new numbers, which was a main goal of Karen and I, so this is great news to see. So we'll move on to item number 2, the approval of minutes. And these were in your packet from February 24th, 2021. And if you have any questions or changes, and if not, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Craig, it's Karen. Move to approve.
Thank you, Karen. Is there a second?
Cordell Thomas, second.
Thank you, Cordell. Any questions or discussions? Remember, use the raise hand feature if you can. All right, not seeing any. Joshua will go ahead and move to the vote.
Sounds good. Let me pull this up for you. And now that I know everybody who's here, I will. I'll go through this a little faster, so everyone be prepared. All right. Catholic Charities.
Yes.
CityNet is not here. City of Corona.
Yes.
City of Eastvale.
Yes.
City of Hemet.
Yes.
City of Menifee.
Yes.
City of Riverside,
Yes.
Coachella Valley Association of Governments. Yes. Coachella Valley Rescue
This is
Patrol.
Myra with the.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, yes?
Yes.
This is Myra with the City of Moreno Valley. Can you hear me?
Can. Thank you, Myra. And
Yeah,
what
I'm
is
here.
Perfect. I got your attendance, and that's a yes as well. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Community Health Association, Inland Southern Region. Community Health Association, Inland Southern Region. I believe we had somebody here. Okay, if not, Department of Public Social Services.
Yes.
Okay. Help for Future Leaders. Janetta. Help for Future Leaders. I'll be back just in case. Jewish Family Services of San Diego.
Yes. Yes.
Lighthouse Social Service Centers.
Yes.
Martha's Village.
Yes.
Mercy House.
Yes.
Molina Healthcare.
Yes.
Operation Safe House. Operation
Yes.
Safe House. Yes, thank you so much. Path of Life.
Yes.
Riverside County Department of Animal Services.
Yes.
Riverside County Office of Education. Office
Yes.
of Education. Thank you so much. Hot Team.
Yes.
Behavioral Health. Marcus.
Yes.
Shelter from the Storm.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Usually. Step Up on second.
Yes.
UCR Health.
Yes.
United Way.
Yes. Yes.
VA Loma Linda.
Yes.
And Transgender Health and Wellness Center.
Yes.
And Cordell, you have voting rights, correct? Just to make sure.
That's right. I do. I should.
And then you're
Yes.
yes. Thank you so much. All right. Looks like it unanimously passes.
Great, thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. We'll move to item number 3, public comments. Do we have any written public comments submitted? Melanie or Josh?
I don't believe we've received any.
Okay.
Yes.
And
that's correct, Tom.
if there are any public comments on non-agenda items at this time, we will take those if you want to raise your hand. And I still see, Denise, I have your hand still up. Did you have something or? Denise Stoll? I don't believe so. So I'll lower that. All right, I'm not seeing any public comments. So we will move on to item number 4, old business. And the first order would be the approval of the 2021 Continuum of Care meeting calendar. Tanya, covering this? Or?
Yep, I will do that. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're not hearing an echo on your end. But I will quickly share a copy of the calendar that was included in your packet. In December, the Continuum of Care, so all of you approved the 2021 meeting calendar. We've made some updates, which include the addition of the Policy and Advocacy Committee. We are planning on launching the very first meeting on April 1st, and our Vice Chair, Karen Roper, will be speaking more on next steps for this group during the next item on the agenda. But you'll see here that we included those dates and meeting times. That group will be meeting every quarter during the first week of each month from 2 to 3. And then the other addition here, or update really, is in regards to the Youth Advisory Committee. That group met last month and voted to make their meetings monthly and to change the meeting date so that they now meet every fourth Thursday of the month. So that's it in a nutshell. We're excited and we want to encourage all of you to really look at the various subcommittee meetings that we have, of course, in addition to continuing your participation in this one, and to get involved. So the motion for this item is staff is requesting that we approve the updated calendar so that we can begin to post this and share calendar appointments so that none of you miss the meeting announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Do I have a motion to accept the 2021 revised calendar?
So moved, Marcus.
Thank you, Marcus. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Kimberly McKinney.
Thank you, Kimberly. Any discussion or questions? I'm not seeing any, so Joshua will proceed with the vote.
Excellent. All right. Catholic Charities?
Yes.
City of Corona?
Yes.
City of Eastvale?
Yes.
City of Hemet?
Yes.
Linda? City of Menifee?
Yes.
City of Moreno Valley?
Yes.
City of Riverside?
Yes.
Coachella Valley Association of Governments?
Yes.
And I did receive word from Jim Bolus that he is here today representing Coachella Valley Coalition on Youth Homelessness. Jim, if you can unmute and
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. And I will circle back and get your vote on the motion 2A as well at a later time, okay?
Yes.
Coachella Valley Rescue Mission?
Yes.
Thank you. Community Health Association?
Yes.
Department of Public Social Services?
Yes.
Thank you. Help for Future Leaders?
Yes.
Jewish Family Services?
Yes.
Lighthouse Social Service?
Yes.
Martha's Village?
Yes.
Mercy House?
Yes.
Molina Healthcare?
Yes.
Operation Safe House?
Yes.
Path of Life?
Yes.
Department of Animal Services?
Yes.
Office of Education?
Yes.
Hot Team?
Yeah.
Behavioral Health? Marcus, you made the motion, correct?
Yes, sir.
Shelter from the Storm?
Yes.
Step Up on Second? Step Up on Second?
Yes.
UCR Health?
Yes.
United Way?
Yes.
VA Loma Linda,
Yes.
Transgender Health and Wellness Center,
Yes.
and Access Foundation.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Motion passes. Thank you, Joshua. Moving on to item B is the Policy and Advocacy Committee. Advocacy Committee. Karen Roper, please, my distinguished vice chair.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
It's a little
Yes.
muffled, but yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Josh, you could go ahead and move on to the next slide. There we go. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for your important role in approving the governance charter changes that we recently took action on. There were a number of important changes that we made for our continuum of care structure. And one of those was to add this new committee to the continuum of care. And I think you know just from previous comments from Greg and I, this is something that is near and dear to our hearts. So we're super happy to see it become a reality. And I wanted to share a quote that I recently read with you. It says, "Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality." The capacity to translate vision into reality. And as leaders, I know you all have a vision to better address homelessness in Riverside County. And if you think about the purpose of this committee, there are two important things that impact systems change. What are they? Policy and advocacy. And this committee focuses on that, and they are interconnected and critical to our Riverside continuum of care. So if you think about the topic of advocacy, I know you all are advocates. And as we work together to figure out ways to increase awareness, compassion, and understanding about the homeless issue, that is going to help to strengthen our continuum of care system. So this group is going to focus on that. And we all know that policy is the vehicle to do what? Impact funding, programs, and ultimately transformational change. So I really want to emphasize the importance of this particular committee because I'm hoping that you're going to get excited to participate in it. Your ideas, your vision, and your perspectives are all so important. And as Tanya mentioned to you when she was covering the new schedule, this committee will start meeting quarterly, the first Thursday of every month at 2 p.m. But just so you know, if some time-sensitive issue comes up, especially with respect to legislation or funding or something that we as a committee should be weighing in on in terms of policy, then we will definitely call a special meeting. So our first inaugural meeting is on April 1st at 2 p.m. So I hope that you will mark your calendar and express your interest in participating. And I wanted to just cover a couple of the exciting committee topics. So as I mentioned to you, we are going to be focusing on legislation. Think about some of the things that took place at our last meeting where we weighed in on legislation and looked at what recommendations we might have. This committee will help our larger continuum of care because we'll have the benefit of time to really dig down deep into the legislation, vet things at a deeper level, and then bring it before you as the continuum of care to make recommendations. Some of the other things that we're going to be focusing on is making sure that our continuum of care has the ability to collaborate with large consortiums. So for example, we want to collaborate with the California State Association of Counties. And myself and Tanya and Heidi and Carrie, we were in a meeting this week with the county CEO's office because the CEO's office coordinates with the Association of Counties. And Greg is even going to be following up to see, is there any way maybe there could be a special committee on continuums of care throughout the association? We want to coordinate with the California League of Cities and the Southern California Alliance of Continuums of Care. So I want to just remind everybody this, we really want to mobilize to make sure that we are at the forefront of policy and advocacy issues for the continuum of care. And that really that lends itself to what federal, state, and local policies do we need to be looking at that we can improve our continuum of care system. Sub-regional partnerships. This is super near and dear to my heart because I do work for a city, and we've talked about we need to look at strategies to increase the number of sub-regional partnerships between neighboring cities. Why do we want to do that? Because our homeless neighbors want to stay in the city that they live in, and also for cities that are trying to develop solutions. If each city is empowered with resources to develop their own local solutions, then other cities won't be overburdened with requests to help people in crisis. So it's a win-win. And I wanted to mention to you all as an example, I'm super excited. I mentioned this in the Board of Governance meeting. The city of Corona and the city of Norco have been working on a partnership. We've had a series of meetings, and we developed a memorandum of understanding. It went to the Norco City Council on March the 17th, and it will be moving to our Corona City Council on April the 7th. This MOU, if it's approved by our city council, will expand our contract that we have with CityNet to the city of Norco. So we will manage the contract for the city of Norco, but Norco's homeless neighbors will have the ability to receive outreach and engagement and shelter, motel shelter in the city in which they live. And just this morning, we got a person that was in crisis that is from the city of Norco that was calling the city of Corona. So this is just an example of an opportunity where two cities can come together and work to help build capacity in a city to have services and shelter for its homeless neighbors. And I hope that we can work together as leaders to help other cities with ideas and opportunities and resources to create more partnerships. Also, we're going to be focusing on community education and engagement. So some of the things we've talked about are train the trainer presentations that we can develop in this committee and then give them as a resource to the whole continuum of care. They can be posted so that our messages about the things that we want to do to transform the continuum of care, how we want to bring on partners, how we can increase education and compassion. This is something that we can vet and work together on as a committee. And if we do that, then it lends itself to the next thing, which is public-private partnerships. And I want to give you an example of how that can work. In the city of Corona, we have a program called Make It Cozy. And it's a partnership that we have. We use city space that is like a warehouse, and we offer it to CityNet, and then we work with all of our the faith community, businesses, and even residents who donate furniture, clothing, move-in kits, hygiene kits, food gift cards. It's a public-private partnership, but the way that we've been able to do that is through community education and engagement. And so that's just, and I know many of you are already doing super cool things like that in where you are, but hopefully we can expand that for those that might need help to build ideas to increase public-private partnerships. And then I think everybody knows we're getting ready to launch the next phase of the strategic plan for the continuum of care, which will have a needs assessment. And once we have the data from the needs assessment, then this committee can work together to look at a regional funding strategy for sustainability and expansion of services that we can bring back to the full continuum of care and even onto the Board of Governance.
If it's like,
And then just a couple of other things. Affordable housing. I think everybody knows. Somebody needs to mute themselves. All roads lead to housing. If we're going to end homelessness, we really need to expand the supply of affordable housing. So policy and advocacy, we can focus on trying to increase affordable housing. So I would just like to throw out this huge invite to all of you as Continuum of Care members and leaders. If you want to join this committee, you can email me. My email address is in the chat box, and also coc@rivco.org. So please consider joining this and this committee. And I also just wanted to give a shout out to those who have already agreed to participate. Linda Krupa from the city of Hemet, Hafsa Keka from the city of Riverside, Susan Larkin from Valley Restart, Michelle Davis from the city of Riverside, and Francine Edwards from the Path of Life, and of course, myself and Greg and our amazing team from the county will be participating, but there is plenty of room for others to join. So please join us. Does anybody have any questions? Do you have any comments? I would love to hear your feedback about the direction that this committee is heading, and if you have ideas for where we should be starting in our first committee meeting. So please, I'd like to open the floor to get your feedback.
Hafsa.
Yes, Karen, first of all, thank you so much. Excellent presentation. And to everyone, you know, Greg and both of you have been really leading this work on policy and advocacy. So a kind of more so a comment that we really need. One of the things I had mentioned to Karen when she presented this and, you know, we sort of convened, it's really important and really great. And I think Karen touched some really important points. I think we really certainly need a lived experience person to be on this committee as well. It's really important that lived experience is at the level of policy. So I know that there's a lot of providers on the call today. I really encouraged a lived experience personnel to be able to participate so that we could drive the work for the people of the people. And a second comment is sub-regional, you hit it on the dot, Karen. You know, as you know, we've been working a lot collectively. I just want to put it out there that the city of Riverside has convened a couple of regional collaborative meetings, and actually there will be one next week at the city manager's level and the homeless leads level on Tuesday of next week that we are going to be reconvening. And so just really piggybacking, it's really great to see that the CoC is aligning well with some of these other efforts. So your city managers and, you know, the county and some of the CoC leadership will be in that. And this is really good. This is really good meat and potatoes to drive those conversations. So thank you.
Thank you, Hafsa. Appreciate that. So, Jim Bolus.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate hearing about this, and I definitely would love to be involved. Karen, I'm wondering, is there a way, because we're starting the Inland Empire Youth Advisory Council, and a large part of that is going to be policy advocacy on local, state, and federal levels. And I just came from the National Network for Youth's Hill Day Symposium, and there's a lot of federal policy, legislation, and budget advocacy that's in the hopper. And I'd like to know if there's if there's going to be room for a carve out for youth specific or population specific policy as well.
Jim, that is excellent. First of all, may I say to you, welcome to the committee. Love to have you participate. We would absolutely love to focus in on this. Policy, it's an umbrella that encompasses the whole system of care, and we need to be doing a good job looking at all of these. And so I would welcome that to be one of the topics that we focus on, especially if it's time sensitive. So yes, thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments? I'm not seeing anything. Karen, I want to thank you. Great presentation. Thanks again for taking this and running with it. I just kind of want to address to it that, you know, when we talked about disbanding the Housing and Sustainability Committee, a lot of that discussion was because we felt that this Policy and Advocacy Committee really can take that committee's work to a really next level. And we know that our lack of affordable housing, lack of permanent supportive units, and sustainability policy are all policy and advocacy driven. So thank you. I do see another hand raised. Gina Estrin.
Thank you. You've seen me around. I'm not an official member of anything, but am I allowed to be part of this committee?
Yes. Can count yourself in, Gina. You are now an official member.
Awesome, because to be honest, like right now I'm in the middle of trying to help a bunch of people relocate and stuff. Long story. At any rate, I just realized that, and I saw that Linda Krupp is on the line and Valley Restarts combined, and we have a new consultant, Robin Gilliland, on the San Jacinto City Council. And I really would love to work with everybody locally here because we are in desperate need of shelter and housing and cooperation. And what you just described sounds absolutely perfect for what we're trying to accomplish here. And I'd love to be a part of it.
Welcome. Thank you. We would love to have you participate. I also did want to announce to our Continuum of Care that I have an email from Emma so Emma Perez, thank you. Yes, we would love to have you as this committee, part of this committee. And also I see an email from Brian Ambrose from the city of Murrieta who is interested. Thank you guys for sending the email so quickly. We are adding you to the committee as I speak. Thank you again.
All right, and I know Donna Craig from the healthcare district just texted me. She's emailing, so thanks again, Karen. Appreciate the report. So moving on to item 5, new business. Item A is the FY 2021 Continuum of Care Program competition. Natalis, are you leading this?
Yes. Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Natalis. I'm the Administrative Services Officer of the CoC division. And so this item is about the fiscal year 2021 Continuum of Care Program competition. So let me give you some background first. So our CoC staff completed the 2021 CoC program registration back on February the 22nd. And there will be a series of activities. In the preparation of this upcoming so-called NOVA, Notification of Funding Availability. And then, so even though it has not opened yet, but then there's a series of activities that would lead up to that. And then that includes the project rating and ranking methodology and the tool and the grant inventory worksheet, letter of interest, etc. So, and then as a result of that, we feel that it would be great if we can have an ad hoc work group. So, and then, so our recommended motion is for the board to approve the creation of an ad hoc work group in preparation for the fiscal year 2021 CoC program competition, with the first task of reviewing the CoC monitoring tool and rating and ranking methodology and the tool.
Great, thank you, Natalis. Is there any questions for Natalis? Not seeing any hands raised, so I would entertain a motion to approve the creation of an ad hoc work group in preparation for the FY 2021 CoC program competition, with one of the first tasks of reviewing the CoC monitoring tool and rating and ranking methodology and tool.
So moved. Karen Roper.
Karen, thank you. Do I have a second, please?
Hammett will second.
Great, thank you, Linda. All right, is there any further discussion or questions? Not seeing any hands. Oh, actually, I'm so sorry. David Jacobs.
Yes, so could you clarify like the specific purpose of the group and the things that they're going to be evaluating?
Yes, I can answer that. And yes, we would like this ad hoc group, to be a small group of people working closely with me and my team, and then because there will be a lot of like revision and then crafting those the rating tool and then the methodology and then how we move forward. And then we want to make sure that like at least part of the CoC committee is okay with that. And then when we have the when things are in shape, of course, the methodology will need to be brought forward to the CoC and for approval. So major items would need to be approved in the big meeting like today, but then in the inner working of it, and then we would like to have the ad hoc group to be able to work closely with our team.
So David, I'll just kind of give a quick summary is the ad hoc group will be reviewing the scorecard and looking at the different categories that we use to rank each of the projects regarding their performance. So some of those things, just to give examples, is looking at HMIS, right, data quality, but also retention or housing sustainability in a project. We're also looking at income increases. So basically looking at all those different measures to determine, hey, which ones make sense, which ones do we want to keep, or which ones need to be modified.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, David. Any further questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, Joshua, if you can move to the vote, please.
All right. Catholic Charities,
Yes.
City of Corona,
Yes.
City of Eastvale,
Yes.
City of Hemet.
Yes.
I saw that you had seconded the motion. Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
City of Menifee,
Yes.
City of Moreno Valley. I'm sorry, was that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you, Myra. Oh, and I'm sorry, City of Lake Elsinore. Nicole, I saw that you put in the chat that you were here. Do you have a vote?
Yes. Thank you.
Nicole?
Yes.
City of Riverside?
Yes.
Officer Steve Ag?
Yes.
Jim Bolus?
Yes.
CVRM?
Yes.
Community Health Association? Community Health Association?
Yes.
Thank you. DPSS?
Hi, yes.
Help for Future Leaders?
Yes.
Jewish Family Services?
Yes.
Lighthouse Social Service?
Yes.
Martha's Village?
Yes.
Mercy House?
Yes.
Molina Healthcare?
Yes.
Operation Safe House?
Yes.
Path of Life?
Yes.
Department of Animal Services?
Yes.
Thank you. Office of Education?
Yes.
Hot Team?
Yes.
Behavior Health? Riverside Behavior Health, Marcus?
Yes, sorry.
Shelter from the Storm?
Yes.
Step up 1 second.
Yes.
UCR Health?
Yes.
United Way of Inland Valleys?
Yes.
VA Loma Linda?
Yes.
Transgender Health and Wellness Center?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And Access Foundation, Cordell? Cordell, you there? It's like we're having some trouble. Cordell, if you're there, you can put your put it in the chat just in case. As it stands, it looks like the motion passes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Josh. Item 5B, I'm going to take the chair's prerogative to move this down the agenda. Dr. Leong, Mondays, Wednesdays has to give an executive office update to the board. That begins at 11, so he should be able to be on by 11:30. So we'll move to him as soon as he can get on.
Excuse me, Greg, may I add something?
Yes.
And then, thank you very much for approving the motion. And then, so if anyone who is interested in joining this ad hoc committee or this ad hoc work group, and please either email the CoC at rivco.org email address, or simply put your interest in the chat box here, and then we will capture that and then reach out to you.
Great, thank you, Natalis.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll skip over to item 5C, the Inland Empire Youth Advisory Council. Cordell.
All right, I hope you all can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. I'm having some computer issues, so I've called in. This is in reference to the Inland Empire Youth Advisory collaboration, and it is a wonderful opportunity for us to work collaboratively with a successful Youth Advisory Committee. This advisory committee puts together both the San Bernardino and the Riverside YAC groups, and it puts together our best practices with joint efforts to end youth homelessness in the Inland Empire. I've had an opportunity to talk with their chair and collaborate with him. Levi Detheridge has a vast amount of experience and understanding of how we can move collectively forward with the intent of ending youth homelessness in the Inland Empire. So as you can see, we've already moved to a monthly meeting process, more active activities that we can do together to bring these ideas. And we see the success of the San Bernardino group as a great way to move forward in using best practices to end this issue of youth homelessness. So this advisory committee was established. Jim Bolus was an active part of getting it together. We've had a meeting already, and we see it as a grand slam in moving forward the initiatives for our youth in Riverside.
Thank you, Cordell. Thank you, Jim, too, for your leadership with Cordell on this. I think this is a great partnership. Again, gets back to just another example of regional partnerships, even on a grander scale of two counties working together. So are there any questions or comments?
I just want to say, Cordell, you're a rock star. You do such an amazing job. Thank you for all of your work. It's Karen Roper.
Karen, thank you. I appreciate it. And again, it's collective. Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much, Levi. Thank you for all the partners involved. It couldn't work without everyone working together.
Thank you, Cordell. I'm looking forward to the updates as you move along. So, all right, moving to item 5D, the Continuum of Care Written Standards. Laura, please.
Yes, good morning, everybody. This is Laura. We sent along with the package of documents the CoC written standards that the Standards and Evaluation Committee had been working on. The last meeting they had, they provided feedback about what edits needed to be made on the written standards, and we are presenting them today for approval. A lot of the changes had to do with some formatting and then adding a couple of sections, rewording and so forth. So you should all have a copy of the draft of the written standards in your in the packet that you received, or the link to the documents for today's meeting. I didn't know if anyone had a question on a specific section of this of the document.
Any questions or comments? I'm not seeing any, so I would entertain a motion to approve the CoC written standards revised August 17th, 2020. Anyone?
This is
So moved. This is Marcus.
Thank you, Marcus. And is there a second?
I'll second it, Kimberly McKinney.
Okay, thanks, Kimberly. That was Kimberly McKinney, Josh, in case you didn't get it. So,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any further discussion or questions? All right, not seeing any. Joshua, we'll move to the vote.
All right, thank you, Greg. Catholic Charities.
Yes.
Thank you. City of Corona.
Yes.
City of Eastvale.
Yes.
City of Hemet.
Yes.
City of Lake Elsinore. Nicole, City of Lake Elsinore.
Yes, sorry, having a hard time. Yes.
No problem. Thank you, Nicole. City of Menifee.
Yes.
City of Moreno Valley.
Yes.
Okay. City of Riverside.
Yes. Good. By the way, Josh, this is really helpful bringing it up on the screen. Good job. Thanks.
Thank you for the input, House. I really appreciate it. CVAG.
Yes.
Coalition on Youth Homelessness.
Yes.
Jim. CVRM.
Yes.
And I got your second. Thank you, Kimberly. Community Health Association. Community Health Association, Inland Southern Region. Feel free to put your response in the chat. Department of Public Social Services.
Thank you. Yes.
Help for Future Leaders.
Yes.
Jewish Family Services of San Diego.
Yes.
White House Social Service Centers.
Yes.
Martha's Village and Kitchen.
Yes.
Mercy House.
Abstain.
Thank you. Molina Healthcare.
Yes.
Operation Safe House.
Yes.
Path of Life.
Yes.
Department of Animal Services.
Yes.
Office of Education.
Yes.
Hot Team.
Yes.
Marcus, I got your motion, correct?
Yes, sir.
Shelter from the Storm.
Yes.
Thank you. Step Up on Second.
Yes.
UCR Health.
Yes.
United Way.
Yes.
VA Loma Linda.
Yes.
Transgender Health and Wellness Center.
Yes.
Thank you. And Access Foundation.
Yes.
Perfect. Second motion passes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Josh. All right, moving on to item 5E, the Migrant Family Sheltering Program. I'm going to give a brief update on this. Many of you may remember 2 years ago, due to an influx of asylum seekers, primarily in Arizona and El Centro, Riverside County had to work for those individuals being dropped off in Blythe, as well as working in partnership with the Galilee Center on pickups in El Centro, and experienced a number of families that we assisted. I really want to give a big shout out to Tanya, who was the main lead in that 2 years ago. What we realized is the operations that we undertook as far as immediately accessing those individuals as they were dropped off, getting them in at that time. This was, of course, pre-COVID, but utilizing our faith-based community in Blythe, as well as the Galilee Center and Our Lady of Soledad in Coachella, to get people into some sort of shelter, help them get processed and onto their sponsor or family that they were moving on. Traditionally, it was about a 1 to 2 day turnaround, which is still what we're seeing now. With that being said, we believe it's been about 3 weeks ago, seems like yesterday, but we again were notified by Border Patrol that individuals would be being dropped off in Blythe, as well as El Centro. So again, Tanya, her team, Emergency Management Department, as well as Public Health, reactivated basically the operation. And so we've been taking asylum seekers in. We haven't seen the level yet, although I just heard on pre-call this morning with Tanya and Josh is laughing. There is a lot, 80 or something in Murrieta today. So we are seeing an influx. The reason we bring this up to you all in the CoC is, people may question, well, if immigrants, asylum seekers specifically, are coming across the border, are they going to start adding to our homeless population if they don't have shelter? I think most of you know that asylum seekers already have a sponsor or family member. And so as in 2019, we did not experience a burden on our homeless system. With that being said, though, much of county staff's time, of course, is being utilized for this service. I want to bring up a little bit about COVID because this is what's thrown a wrench in it. Unfortunately, many of these asylum seekers are not coming through normal ports of entry, and so they're picked up by Border Patrol or ICE, and so they're not being tested for COVID. So when we encounter these individuals and pick them up either from Blythe or El Centro, we are isolating them in their groups that they come as much as possible, but are doing a testing. We do a rapid antigen test to begin with, and then follow up with the PCR test. If they are negative, the whole group, then they are primarily taken to the Galilee Center for a couple days shelter until they are able to get travel arrangements to their sponsors. If even one or two within a group test positive, obviously you all know that there's a close exposure to the rest of that group. So the county is quarantining and isolating those individuals. We've been able to secure some hotel rooms in the city of Indio to facilitate that process. Of course, providing meals and food and public health updates as well. And they're quarantining or isolating for 10 days. This is the recommendation by the CDC. So we just kind of wanted to give you an update on that. We, of course, the county was worried about, and we're still in conversations with the federal government on increasing testing protocol, and as well as quarantining or isolating at the border before releasing into Riverside County or other counties for that matter. Additionally, too, you can imagine the cost of running a program like this, especially when you throw in the added cost of hotels. We have been working with the federal government and the state government for some sort of reimbursement and funding. I was just informed, I believe yesterday or the day before, that through our advocacy out of the supervisor's office with Congressman Ruiz, who actually sat down with the Secretary of Homeland Security, and we have been told that FEMA will be reimbursing those costs. And so our Emergency Management Department will work with our partners in getting those reimbursements. So we just wanted to give you an update on that, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have. Hafsa, please.
Hi, so not so much of a question, more so of a kudos and a comment. I just really want to say thank you for bringing such an important aspect to serving the homeless population. And Tanya, kudos to you. I wasn't here 2 years ago, but these numbers are pretty amazing. And the comment is that, this really speaks a lot to the equity piece of the work that we're trying to do as a CoC. As a big 13 city with the city of Riverside, we've submitted applications for HAP, and I know that the state is very big about ensuring that equity is across the board, and as it should be as a priority. So I just really wanted to make a comment that this is really well aligned with the equity piece across the board, diversity, equity, and inclusion of ensuring that no person is left behind who is homeless and without a house to call. So thank you so much. And one of the things we should work on, I think, as a team, and this goes back to the policy, is how there could be permanency for populations, because as we know, there are several barriers in terms of documentation and whatnot. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points, Hafsa. I appreciate that as well. So, and again, I want to emphasize these are asylum seekers, so they are legally allowed to seek asylum in the United States, and we have a humanitarian obligation to help these individuals. And additionally, what we're seeing is a lot of them are coming from Brazil, Cuba, various countries that we're not really used to as much as Central America. So, any other questions or comments? All right, not seeing them. This is more of an information item, so no action is necessary. We'll move to item 5F, and this is coordination of stimulus payments. And I came across an article last week. Yeah.
Sorry to stop you.
No.
Kennedy from Transgender Health and Wellness Center actually put a question in the chat regarding the asylum seekers, asking if there are any provisions to meet the needs of LGBT asylum seekers / migrant families.
So that's a great question, Kennedy. And I did forget to mention, and sorry, Marcus, that our behavioral health team is involved as part of that team and management of this program. And of course, again, public health and our EMD are well trained as well, that any issues that would come up with an LGBT asylum seekers, we will address in a positive manner by the county.
Agreed.
All right, so moving on, as I said, and in your packet, the stimulus payments section is highlighted with a hyperlink. I hope some of you might have clicked on the article. I had read this online and then wanted to make sure it was true, and then found through CNN reporting on it we all know that stimulus checks are been part of the latest American Recovery Package. And homeless individuals, as we know, most don't have a shelter, or even if they're in a shelter, don't necessarily file taxes just because of income. However, they are entitled to a stimulus payment. And the article really went into some great detail on how homeless individuals could access those. Obviously, if they don't file taxes and don't have direct deposit, there's some challenges there, but the payments can be done in the form of a debit card. I really kind of wanted to open this up to start. I think this is something the CoC should and could take a lead on. I'm happy to be kind of the coordinating figure for that. Because as we know, and I think especially for our sheltered youth who are working on establishing some sort of savings or income for when they're exit, or even some in our crisis stabilization units, I mean, go across the continuum of how this could really benefit these individuals. And so I really kind of wanted to open it up first to especially our larger congregate shelters like CVRM and Martha's, and I'm glad both Linda and Kim are on, and then Rusty with the Healing Campus as well. Are there any moves right now on programming like this? Is this something you would be interested in? So I kind of would like to open it up, and Linda, if I could start with you, if you're still on from Martha's.
Yeah, I'm still on, and case managers have been navigating this with clients.
Great.
By getting them online and trying to stay up to date. So if we can get the information rolling in, and yes, we could be very interested because a lot of times they're disjointed because of lack of computer or just lack of knowledge and the latest and greatest coming in. But we have been working with clients on the sites with the information available because we know that they have an entitlement just like everybody else.
Okay, great. And then Kimberly.
Good morning, everybody. This is sort of the first I've heard of because I'm up front. I'm not in the trenches, and I have tried to reach out during the meeting to find out what we're doing, but we would absolutely be interested. We have 150 people that are in program that would love to have that extra money to be able to move on. So count us in whatever you need us to do. Or
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a pretty no-brainer. Yes.
Yeah.
And so, and Rusty, in the activities with Path of Life. Rusty or Casey or?
Yeah, sorry, Greg. No, yes, we actually, through our employment pipeline and good work at Sharon Gilmore, had a workshop with our shelter residents, and I'll get you the number. I was just looking that up. That's why I couldn't find my microphone unmute. But I want to say 30 to 40, maybe more of our residents through the stimulus check program that we did gained access. So we definitely would love to be a part of this and help out any way we can. We have had success at our shelter through the previous round. I don't know if we've done it with the new round yet, but I'll check in on that. So yes.
Okay. And and for those who may not know, this would have been a real crunch if tax time stayed the same, but luckily they've extended the filing deadline to May. So I still think there's some great potential here. What I will do and commit to is I'm going to try and see if I can get some kind of tutorial PowerPoint, even if I have to do it myself, and then really kind of a step-by-step process. And then I would really, if we were able, is really to even expand this outside of our shelter operations, which I think could be doable if we work with partners. I have actually already been in conversations with a couple. It's pretty easy to file, especially for the clients that we're addressing, because they don't tend to have the complicated tax returns. But I have had a couple conversations of possibly some pro bono work with some accountants out in the field and stuff. So,
Greg, first
yes,
of all, I wanted to tell you this is just a fabulous idea. And I think for our continuum of care to sponsor something like this, in terms of messaging, I think it'd be really important to make sure we're connecting with our outreach teams. I could see our CityNet outreach team doing a fabulous job with something like that. They already are very engaged in helping our homeless neighbors. And also, connecting with 211. And other community partners just through our continuum of care to get the word out so that we're working uniformly as a team to address this. So kudos to you. It's a great idea.
Yeah, and thanks, Karen.
This is Linda.
Yeah, go ahead, Linda.
And the virtual taxes are being done through Community Action. They always do them at Martha's for free. Mm-hmm. And walk them through the process, so I can send over that information. As they did it last year virtually as well. And for those that usually come to Martha's and get them done, which is about 600 people, it was a very smooth process, and that's what they're engaged in again this year. And the process, they're kind of pros at it, so they do a very good job. So there's an area that they can get their taxes done quickly. We're already doing it in our satellite offices, Palm Springs, CHS, that area, putting the clients on computer to get them into the system.
Great. And yeah, thank you, Linda. I did have Kat down. And I don't think this is something we have to reinvent the wheel on the actual processing of it. To Karen's point, I think if, we can do, and working with the outreach workers is a great example. Our other providers, even our food distribution partners to get at least, and what I'll do is I can do up like kind of a flyer that we can get out to people to have them access those services. So.
Greg, real quick, this is Hafsa. One more thing. The city's Office of Homeless Solutions also has the Access Center at the Healing Campus where we have computers and whatnot. And my project coordinator has done an excellent job in inviting individuals to come speak also via virtually. And we actually do things live. So clients can be placed in front of the computer and then we'll have a big screen. So we always make that available for all of our providers, including Path of Life, The Place, CityNet. And CityNet actually inquired about the stimulus payments in the last Healing Campus collaborative meeting. So the more we could get some, navigational tools, the better for everyone. Thank you.
Absolutely. All righty. Okay. Any other questions or comments? I'm not going to assume that anybody's going to be opposed to me pursuing this. So.
No, Greg, I think I just want to make sure you know that staff is here to support you. We're happy to help you set up meetings, prepare agendas, take notes. So please count us in. We can help you with the planning of this project.
I will. So.
Thanks, Greg.
All righty. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. All right. Moving on to, I don't know if Dr. Leung's on yet. Probably not. We're moving rapidly. We'll go ahead and go to standing items. For the Board of Governance update, my update is really on the strategic planning. As you know, we have secured LaSar Development Consultants once again. On my last update, as I said, staff and myself and the planning committee of the strategic planning effort met and worked on scope and stuff. And so we did just recently get, actually just about 2 days ago, and thanks Natalis and Tanya for sending it to me, an update on their status. And currently they are doing the performance assessment and gaps analysis. They have developed a conceptual frameworks for the gaps analysis, and I'll go over that in just a little bit, and then presented it to the county leadership. And then they are starting to gather and analyze some of the HMIS data as well. And then on the task 2 that we had with them for the Homeless Strategic Action Plan, they have started the analysis of existing documents. So again, going through what the county currently has within each very department, as well as reviewing the models for projected housing needs. On the needs assessment and gaps analysis framework, the real guiding principles, and Hafsa, you'll love this, is of course lived experience, equity, and systems level change. And we really are looking through the strategic plan, not to just say what our gaps and needs are, but more to the point is how are we going to address and implement an action plan addressing these, especially focusing again on the lived experience, equity, and systems level changes. The analysis will also look at both qualitative and quantitative data. It's one thing to just have the numbers, but we want to know best practices as well as some qualitative results that we're not only already achieving, but more importantly, what we plan to achieve through an action plan. Obviously, they'll be utilizing evaluation tools and data sources, and so we're pleased with the progress that LASAR is making. And we will anticipate for a greater update and hopefully an initial planning meeting coming up relatively soon. So I'm happy. Tanya, I don't know if you want to add anything to this.
I would just want to really make a pitch and encourage each of you to send over any community needs assessments that your agency has done. I think through this process, as we've been working with LASAR, right, we've been kind of pulling together different county departments that have done studies looking at whether it's different subpopulations such as youth and seniors, or studies done in looking at like rural areas in the counties and what service delivery looks at there. We've also pulled in, as an example, like a whole person care study and HOPWA needs assessment that was done, I think, about 2 years ago. I think what has become obvious to me is that there's a lot of investment and research, good studies that have been done kind of across all of our different agencies. And so my hope is that in the future we can look at doing like a true consolidated study. But at least for now, if your agency has access to any needs reports, please email them to us at coc@ripco.org. We'd like to look at what you were able to identify as far as needs, gaps, so that we can pull them in, and just know that once LASAR finishes in sort of pulling all that information together, that the plan is to eventually present that during a continuum of care meeting, so that we all can have access to like the broad overview of the findings. So coc@ripco.org, send us again any community needs assessments that your agency has done. Thank you.
And Tanya, I just wanted to mention for our members, there's a super great handout that staff included in the documents for this meeting that goes over all of the details that Greg discussed. It's really, really good document. So,
any other questions or comments? All right, not seeing any. We'll move on to item 6B, the Continuum of Care Lead Agency update. Natalis.
All right, so it's me again, and so item number 6B, and okay, I would like to let everyone know that the 2020 HUD CoC program, like HUD has decided to make it kind of like an auto renewal, but then HUD has not given any details yet. So we will stay put, and then we are already preparing to start with the new contracts, and then so all the existing 2019 projects that are eligible for renewal, and then they will be renewed under the 2020. And then we are still waiting for HUD's guidelines of how to proceed with that. And then that also includes the planning grant that is typically a new project every year. And then as an exceptional case, that is also included in this auto renewal process. And then the 2021 HUD CoC program, as I mentioned earlier, and thank you very much for approving the ad hoc work group. And then we will be working toward the to work on the rating and ranking methodology and tool to start with, along with the other activities. And then, so currently we are also on the finalizing the 10 HAP subrecipient agreements. So they will be coming out soon, and then we have already been working with the subrecipients to review the drafts. And then lastly, after the Board of Governance approval on February the 24th, and then the award announcements for Cash 2 and ESG-CV have been posted on our CoC website. And then conditional award letters have been sent out to the subrecipients. And then there are 2 Cash 2 projects that are awarded, and then 11 projects awarded under ESG and ESG-CV. And then contract execution would be after the Board of Supervisors approval, tentatively at the end of this month, March the 30th. That's it for my updates.
Thank you, Natalis. Is there any questions? Not seeing any. Thank you again, Natalis. We'll move on to item 6C, CES lead update. Mr. Cannon, please.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning, members of the Continuum of Care, Chair, Vice Chair, staff. Just wanted to bring you an update. You can see here on this slide, as well as I think we may have one following slide, our summary of numbers. And so I'm not going to read those to you column by column. I don't think that there's anything here within our summary of numbers that's vastly different from the previous month. The thing that I would want you to note about these 2 slides is that for months going forward, we'll be breaking this out to a bit finer level of detail to show the numbers of youth as well as the numbers of seniors that are represented within these categories. We wanted to be able to provide that information to you. We know our continuum of care at some level has a priority on many things, but particularly, youth and seniors are 2 of those particularly prioritized populations, and so we wanted to be able to share further data about that. These slides are, of course, in the staff report that was prepared by the CoC team. So if you wanted to dig into this further, feel free. And if you have questions for me, of course, don't hesitate. A couple just sort of announcements from our perspective as CES lead agency. We are definitely wanting to work with our CoC lead and support them in the gaps analysis. So we'll be sharing feedback and things that we see from our perspective about gaps. I think that to some degree is a natural segue. We're also trying to support the YAC and the YAB, the Youth Advisory Board and Youth Advisory Coalition, to make sure that our coordinated entry system is youth friendly, and to make sure that we have information and feedback from youth themselves about how people access coordinated entry, how coordinated entry works, how we can make sure that it's working for youth. One thing that I think is no surprise to anyone on this call is that the 4 elements of coordinated entry that HUD mandates, HUD says a coordinated entry system is supposed to focus on are access, assessment, prioritization, and referral. And I think in terms of access and assessment and prioritization, we as a continuum have good good things in place on all three of those fronts. There's lots of ways to access coordinated entry in the CoC. There's many places that people can get an assessment completed. We can prioritize sort of any which way based on the discretion of our continuum of care. But it's that last one, it's that referral piece that really is the challenge. I was talking with a good friend this morning about that parable that many of you heard, the parable of the starfish, where there's the little boy walking along the beach and there's all the starfish on the beach and he's throwing them back into the water. And the starfish are just innumerable. And someone says, well, why are you doing that? Can't you see that it's futile and that it doesn't make a difference? And the little boy throws the starfish in, or the little girl, and the child says, well, it makes a difference to that one. And so for our outreach workers, for our frontline workers, I really always sort of share that parable. But for those of you that are administrators and policymakers and fundraisers, I think the real question is, why are there so many starfish on the beach, and how do we fix that? And I think same for coordinated entry. That's the real challenge, is the referral piece. Is we can only refer to as many places as there are to refer to. And so both in our gaps analysis as well as we try to make a system that's better for youth, better for seniors, I think that we want to do everything within our power to optimize it. But again, not to mix metaphors, like if you're squeezing a fruit to get juice out, like you can only squeeze the one fruit so hard, like only so much juice can come from the one lemon or the one lime. And that's, I think, the biggest challenge that we see as a coordinated entry system. We are working on a rewrite of the coordinated entry system policies and procedures, which then obviously we will review with lead agency staff and then review at the committee level in the HMIS and CES committee before that would come here before this larger group. I think that that's certainly time to do a rewrite, just to make sure that, one, we're addressing anything that we identify, in a gaps analysis, to say how can we try to make coordinated entry optimal for youth and seniors and to meet any gaps. So look for that in the coming months. I apologize if this is getting mentioned later. I don't mean to steal anyone's announcement, but we've gotten a lot of questions about it. Please complete your HMIS training. The CoC lead team has sent out quite a few emails and reminders about that, but we definitely still get questions, and we're happy to take those questions, but we would urge you, if you're an HMIS agency, to complete that training. We're shortly going into sort of a go dark period here, where we won't have access to HMIS for a couple weeks until the new system comes live. We did receive a question about that, asking, is homeless work going to still continue in these 2 weeks? Yes, the answer is absolutely yes. Just some things will have to be manual for a little period of time there. And then I'm pleased to announce we have made a job offer to add a new person to our team, a CES coordinator, and we expect her to start in about 2 weeks. So at the next meeting, we'll be introducing her. And I think those are all my updates. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Marcus, so much. Gina Estrin.
Thank you. Again, I'm a nobody technically. I mean, I do have my Facebook group that I'm trying to really blow up, and as of now, I've got about 28 members, including a lot of city council and so forth. But addressing the issues of the homeless, trying to get them connected and into the system, I kind of realized, since you're going to have training, again, I don't belong to anybody, but it would have been helpful for me to understand this, how to get things going. In other words, can others like myself undertake the training in the new system?
I think in the nicest possible way, I would say that HMIS is designed for agency professional access. The best way, I think, as a community member, volunteer, would be to partner with whoever your local groups are, which in your case, thinking about Right, Valley Restart, Robin Gilliland with City of San Jacinto, behavioral health outreach there in that area, folks that as an institution are a participating agency with HMIS, and then making sure that if you or your colleagues, your constituents contact people that are homeless, that you have a good way to link there directly to your local agency.
Okay. Are you aware if Robin has herself or has a staff member that will be taking the course for the new system?
I would have to, I speak about HMIS because Coordinated Entry uses HMIS as a vehicle to do our work, but I would defer that question to the HMIS lead. I couldn't say what all agencies have access.
Okay, well, and if you know, I have connected to all those entities that you've mentioned, and I will continue to do so. And thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Gina. Karen.
Yeah, first of all, Marcus, I just wanted to say thank you for the word pictures. I absolutely love them. It's you can just picture the system the way that you describe it in terms of the starfish and squeezing. You know, there's only so much juice that can come out of a piece of fruit. So thank you for those powerful pictures. You know, listening to what you're talking about lends itself to some of the things we talked about earlier today for the policy and advocacy committee in ways that we can better educate and be helpful to our other partner cities. When we're looking at developing a system, it needs to be balanced. And I think sometimes, you know, there might be a focus on one component of the system, let's say sheltering, but there needs to be more focus on you can't truly end homelessness without permanent housing on the other side. And I know you remember, Marcus, the conversation that I had the privilege of having with our city council when we were going through our homeless strategic plan. We owned 12, we still do own 12 units of housing. And there was discussion about should that be transformed to transitional housing. And so the discussion led to, if we're going to end homelessness, one person and one family at a time, we can't keep managing homelessness. We have to end it in housing. It was a super positive discussion with our city council, and those units, as you know, were designated for permanent supportive housing. And so just looking at policies to try to balance and focus on ways that we can get more housing in the ground, more housing opportunities. It's so important. I just want to thank you for bringing that up.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Karen. Hafsa.
Hey, Marcus. Great presentation. Thank you. I have a question in regards to, I think you mentioned in the beginning that there's not much of a change since the last month. And I think that that's something that we want to see the change, right? We want to be able to see the increase of individuals being placed into housing. So I think, you know, you obviously spoke to it. It's the fact that there's just not enough affordable housing or opportunities. But I think one of the things that we should probably look at is, I know there's a lot of conversation happening with WR-CoG in many different jurisdictions about the development of housing and opportunities. And I know that, you know, this also touches what Karen was talking about in some policy, but I think definitely we should revisit some of those conversations at a CoC level. And then also I would be very interested, and maybe I'm missing it because I've been in so many meetings, maybe I missed a couple, and maybe this is already happening, but I'd love to see city breakdown if possible. And if that's more in the weeds, perfect. So that's very helpful. So Marcus, I just think that we should, you know, sort of look at some of those aspects when it comes to conversations around WR-CoG. And lastly, I love the analogy you gave about the starfish. Thank you so much. That was very heartwarming. And my Santa Ana Police Department back in my old job gave me that before I left. So thank you for that.
Sure, absolutely. And I apologize. Could you just say again what your suggestion was about WR-CoG? I know we've got the breakout here by city, but I want to make sure I don't miss.
Are we as the CoC taking a stance in those conversations? Is there some movement around? What are the thoughts around CoC with that? I know it's quite preliminary, but maybe this is the Pandora's box that could open it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so I also think this is a really good discussion. I appreciate Marcus bringing this up, and I think it is a very critical conversation, and I've talked many times with various departments about this. So I just want to bring up a few key things that I think we should keep in mind, and I don't know if it's for the Board of Governance or how we proceed, but I'd number one, home key, there's another round of funding coming, about $750 million from the state. This is coming quickly. I'm sure it'll be a quick turnaround. And so I'm not sure if there's been conversations or discussions amongst the CoC or the BOG or any of the housing providers for Riverside County about how those funds will be expended. Will we be applying for them? Where we're going to suggest projects? But there's a lot of money there, and I just don't want us to miss the opportunity to do some projects that we could absolutely use in our region. The second thing is, as Hafsa mentioned, WRCOG is doing a housing trust. Part of that is they're hiring a housing manager. So I definitely think it'd be good to bring them into that conversation. And finally, I've suggested previously as well that collaborative meetings be conducted in each district of the county with the cities in that district, as well as the supervisor, to try to gauge what areas would be most feasible for housing projects, and really understand the political will each area where we can have the most success in building. And part of those conversations can include how we leverage all of our dollars together. So I don't see those conversations occurring. I know we're having regional meetings to talk about homelessness, but those same meetings are not happening about housing. And so I'm not sure who the lead agency should be in doing that. But, for the city of Lake Elsinore, we've taken the initiative to build some housing. Will we build more? Possibly. We possibly will, but at the same time, we won't want to be the only community in our region doing so. So we need those conversations to start happening where we can all put our efforts together and try to make sure we have representative housing in each of the regions. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Slam dunk, Nicole. And that's a lot of my thinking around the policy and advocacy committee as well, is to really extend the conversation to housing. I will say the county, I don't know if Mike Walsh is on or not, but the county, through the housing authority that Mike Walsh is, practically does lead, is in a partnership with a nonprofit out here called Live to Rise. It's been about a 3-year Connect Capital campaign. And we're looking to scale that up countywide. So those conversations are definitely happening within the county. Tanya, it might be a good. Is this Mike?
Yeah, Greg, I'm on if you want me to chime in. But I could just give a brief report for folks on housing that's happening in the county. We have over 800 affordable housing units that are going under construction throughout the county right now. We were excited in partnership with the city of Riverside that we broke ground on or we didn't break ground, but the developer broke ground on 50 units in Riverside on the St. Michael's development. And either Friday or Monday, 60 units of housing will be breaking ground in Cathedral City. 53 of those will be VASH units for veterans. But we have basically units under construction in every district within the county, and we're really excited based on preliminary guidelines that at least 3 affordable housing projects just received awards looks like they'll receive awards under the state's 4% credits situation. So they'll be under construction by the end of the year, and those projects are in Palm Springs, Riverside, and Indio. And then 2 other projects looks like they're going to be receiving awards of credits to move forward through the 9% competition, and those would be under construction by the end of the year. And I know there's projects that are slated to move forward. But I think the larger goal of how those conversations have with WRCOG, with other folks, basically because it comes to a political will, I would say the city of Riverside has taken a great lead. Like they hadn't done any tax credit projects in the longest time, and they went through the process of slotting projects and moving projects forward, and those projects are now starting to be underground. Some of these projects are that are under construction are starting to do lease ups, namely Cedar Glen Phase 2 and Riverside. Of those 24 units are permanent supportive housing units, and there are other units that are for families, 3-bedroom units that are currently under lease up. If people have specific questions on those, feel free to reach out to me, and I can. And also Cathedral Palms in Cathedral City, which has 68 units of No Place Like Home units that will be in there. So those are opening up on a rehab, so those are rolling. So we can happy to engage in any additional conversations, and if folks would want like more regular updates on when these are opening and how many units are permanent supportive housing, etc. The points on home key, the simple answer is yes. The county is the more complex answer is the political will of moving the projects forward and how that moved forward. Kudos to Lake Elsinore and the efforts they took, as well as City of Riverside and the county and unincorporated in the last go round. And we just need to figure out how do we do more of it to move things along. But if folks have specific questions, I'll put my email in the chat, and folks can email me directly.
Mike, thank you so much. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because you really kind of addressed what item 6E is now on the agenda. We placed this.
Sorry.
No, it makes it easier. But we placed this item on here, a housing resource update. So for specific updates like that, Mike, about what kind of projects do we have that are advancing? I'm going to use the word pipeline that you love. But more importantly, what are the ones that are having doors opening up? And so that was a really good update. What I might suggest, Tanya, too, is one webinar series we could do might be a housing update from Mike and his team, as well as the description of the Connect Capital and how the uniqueness is to that to development. So I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, no, Melanie's my witness, although I don't think she's here, so she's not a good witness for this meeting. But we had planned on having a seminar dedicated to affordable housing, and Mike was going to be one of our special guests. So we'll definitely move that forward. You're my witness. True story, right, Melanie?
Yes. Yes.
I think we had to push it just because of the COVID stuff, and we wanted to do a focus on non-congregate sheltering. But Nicole, we agree with you. It's an important topic, so we'll make sure that gets scheduled.
Sounds great. And Mike can't say no, Tanya, so don't let him. So.
Hey, Greg, just really quickly, I know you're trying to wrap up the meeting. I just want to say one more thing, just real quick. The City of Riverside's Housing and Homeless Committee, we just hosted this past month. WCARG, we invited them all to speak a little bit about the Joint Housing Trust, WRCOG, and we also invited a panel of regional leads that help create joint powers authorities for housing trusts. So we had San Bernardino, we had San Diego, and we had Orange County, which most recently happened about 2 years ago, which I was a part of. So I just really want to put that out there that I think it'd be great for the CoC to maybe invite WRCOG as well as maybe some of these experts in the field to piggyback off of what Mike was saying. So I think that there's a really good connection there. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you, Hafsa. All right. We do have Dr. Leong has joined the call. So if we could go back, Josh, to slide 18. And this is in regards to COVID vaccination efforts. And we've gotten a lot of questions from the community about what is the response as far as homeless vaccination, especially in shelter settings. And we know that many of our shelters, especially our 3 largest ones, are already vaccinating. We know that CVRM and Martha's in the Coachella Valley are utilizing their current healthcare partners on their campuses to do those vaccination efforts, as well as VA Loma Linda is coordinating vaccines for VA-funded partners like US Vets and Lighthouse, for example. And then project room key managers, of course, are working with clients to schedule those vaccine appointments. And then we do have a whole person care team that's creating a dedicated medical team. And those are targeting, again, emergency shelters, encampments, and other areas to host vaccines. For providers, and for those of you who don't know, you are now eligible as of March 15th as providers of homeless services, especially outreach services and those in congregate settings for the vaccine, as well as homeless clients. So I would hopefully encourage those that are able to assist with making those appointments. I'm gonna turn this over to Dr. Leung, who can maybe talk, and I gave him some points to hit, but he's going to give kind of the broader overview of what the county's overall vaccination efforts, and then Dr. Leung, of course, if as I discussed with you, if we can, talk about the mobile vaccination efforts, even though we call them mobile, they're a fixed site, but they're out into different areas of the community, and how those might benefit the homeless population. Before I turn it over to you, though, Dr. Leung, for those who may not have heard, is Dr. Leung is now the public health officer for Riverside County. I've had the pleasure of working with Dr. Leung for a few years now on the community health center side of stuff with RUHS, and I've come to grow and respect him not only as one of the most professional and smartest persons I know, but also a dear friend. So Dr. Leung, congratulations and welcome, and I will turn this over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, and thank you for letting us be part of this important conversation. So, just a couple broad pieces of context when we're thinking about sort of vaccination across the county. We break it into different categories, and there's a federal supply of vaccine that comes in through certain partners, like some of our pharmacies, like CVS, Walgreens, and now Rite Aid and Walmart. There's also vaccine that's starting to come in through community health centers or federally qualified health centers. And then through the state, our local county gets an allocation as well. And that's transitioning because of the third-party administrator through Blue Shield, which will be handling or coordinating more of that allocation. But from the batch that we get through the county, from the state, we give a good portion to our community vaccine providers, which includes our hospitals, our clinics, and our other pharmacies. And then the remainder we try to use to support mass vaccination sites. And so currently, and this is not all the mass vaccination sites in the county, but there are several sites where we partner. So there's 4 sites that we partner with Curative, a vendor that helps us with vaccination. There are 4 sites that we partner with OptumServe, which is done in conjunction with the state. And then we also have 4 ourselves with public health sites. And currently those are at Moreno Valley Mall, they're at Heritage, Tocowitz, and then the Albert Chatney Community Center in Beaumont. So among all the mass vaccination sites, we have pretty good coverage of the county. And of course, those are extremely efficient ways to get out vaccine, but they're not always necessarily the easiest for everyone to get to, especially if you have limited mobility or you may have challenges with housing. So on top of that, we currently also have recently, we've added a team, so now we have 6 mobile teams that try to go to our hardest to reach areas. And so we're generally targeting areas that qualify as underserved quartiles according to the Healthy Places Index. And those mobile teams can do anywhere between 350 to 700 individuals in a day, whereas the fixed mass vaccination sites, they typically do between 600 to upwards of 2,000 or 3,000 individuals a day. There are probably many different ways to think about trying to outreach and connect with our homeless or at-risk populations. One of which is the opportunity to partner on the mobile sites, and then we've already seen this happen, which is partnerships with existing community vaccine providers, for instance, federally qualified health centers or other groups that know the local community really well. So maybe I'll pause right there, and Mr. Rodriguez, if you have anything to add, or we can take any questions as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we'll open it up for questions. I think, the only other thing I would add is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Leung, but those of us who've been stressed about the vaccine supply are not as stressed as we were even 2 to 3 weeks ago. So we definitely have seen the freeing up of doses as well as the increase in community partners. So are there any questions for myself or Dr. Leung? They're going to make it easy on us, Jeff. So All right, I don't see any, and Jeff, I'm gonna let you go. I know you're
Sorry, Greg, real quick.
Yeah,
I
go
didn't
ahead.
get my hand up.
Go ahead.
Just we'd love to have a mobile clinic come to Path to Life shelters in Riverside. So whatever we can do to facilitate that, Dr. Long, we would commit to that.
All right, and Kimberly, I don't know, he might have dropped off, but.
No, I'm here. I just wanted to ask the doctor if the Johnson & Johnson, the one shot, you know, when you're doing outreach and bringing people into a shelter, they don't always stay. So if there's an opportunity to vaccinate them with one shot instead of having to try to find them for a second shot, is that something that you guys are working on?
Yes, and it looks like he jumped off, but definitely, Kimberly, I've been having those conversations with public health. We're having a little difficulty in supply of Johnson & Johnson, but to answer your question, yes, because to your point, especially if we're going out into encampments and other places outside of sheltering or congregate facilities, it's far easier to do the one and done shot. So.
Greg, I see that Dr. Leong is actually still on, unless he's frozen on my screen. But Dr. Leong, I know that in addition to Path of Life, there are other emergency shelters like Valley Restart and Hemet. You have Operation Safe House, which serves young adults 18 to 24, and then of course our shelters on the East End. But we were recently connected with the whole person care team. So I spoke with Judy Nightingale on Monday and learned that they are working on coordinating an effort, which I'm not sure if it's the same effort. I think that's to get to the point here is where, right, we described using mobile teams to go to the shelters to coordinate the vaccinations in addition to other encampment sites. We talked about like the river bottom or potentially Fairmont Park as an example, as a area for setup. Are those two projects connected? Are they the same?
So thank you, Tanya. So first of all, thank you for kind of the recommended shelters to consider, and definitely, we'll share that with our mobile teams. In terms of Judy Nightingale and the whole person care team, we are working closely with them. So we're trying to think of them as the 7th mobile team. So the efforts are connected. Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah, I literally just got yesterday an email from Judy as well, clarifying that as well too. So thank you, Jeff.
Hey, Greg and Dr. Jeffrey, this is Hafsa with the City of Riverside. I echo former Mayor Bailey's sentiments earlier that, we would love to have a mobile clinic. We have Path of Life next door. We have CityNet across on the parking lot. We've got the place next to Path of Life. We're going to be having Helping Hearts and also bridge housing in the future here in the next couple of months, and the Access Center. Several people who are not connected to services or may not necessarily want to accept shelter at any given point will just come for respite care for the day. So I think they could really utilize these vaccinations. So really want to echo what Rusty said earlier. Please, if you could bring a mobile clinic, we would be so happy and willing to work together. And just so that we are working with UCR Med Clinic, who's leasing the space next door. But I think it seems like your team might be able to expedite it. So we are a collaborative, strong, and we are happy to make ourselves available collectively.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any. All right. So Dr. Leong, you are allowed to leave now. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it so much. So
thank you, everyone.
And Greg, I'm going to recommend that we, I think we kind of skipped over item 60. Yeah, the HMIS update. So we'll go straight to that.
Yep. I'm on it, Josh.
You're great. Why'd I even ask?
So we will go to HMIS lead update. And do we have Gordon on?
Hey, Greg. Yep. Yes, I am on.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
To pull up the staff reports, or
I can absolutely do that.
Great.
So there you go.
All right. Thank you, Josh. So one of the reasons why we're pulling up the staff report is I have a timeline here, and as well as there's a robust amount of information that just fits better on the staff report, which is included, by the way, in the link that Josh sent. And in addition to the HMIS updates that you'll find in the staff report, you'll find Marcus Cannon's report, as well as hits to 2021 information, and more importantly, we feature success stories. This month in March, we have a story on a woman with 3 young children, whose husband unfortunately passed away, and one of our agencies is helped her find permanent housing from an emergency shelter. So enough of that shameless plug. Moving on to the HMIS transition, but it's always important to include what's actually going on in our community. So I'll be focused on 2 points, which is the HMIS vendor transition, as well as the training that's necessary to access our new system, Clarity Human Services. So the transition is right now in the final phase. We've mentioned the phases of the initial migration, the testing phase, and we've sent out some emails regarding the blackout periods as well as the training. So right now, the HMIS team has wrapped up the migration testing phase, which is when we look at the agency information, the program information, the client's enrollments, and the client data that is transferred between our old system, Client Track, to the new system, Clarity Human Services. And today is a special day because, as Marcus mentioned earlier, there is going to be a blackout period. And this essentially is called a blackout period because it takes time for our new vendor to move information between our existing system to the new system. So tonight, effectively at 11:59 p.m., any information that's not entered in Client Track will not be transferred to the new system. So any information that might be inputted in Client Track after 11:59 p.m. today will be not moved to the new system, Clarity Human Services. So it is very important that information that needs to be entered or needs to be moved to the system to be done before 11:59 p.m. today. And speaking about the training, we sent out a flyer regarding how to access the Clarity Human Services general training. Thank you, Josh. And and for those who may not have received the email or hadn't got a chance to take a look at it, you will find the link here in the CoC staff report. You can go ahead and click on that link, register for the training, and then if you completed that training, you will be receiving a instruction via email on how to access the new system. Now, for those individuals who've completed training before March 23rd, you will receive instructions on or before April 6th, which is our go live date of the new system. And to be mindful of time, I will end my updates right there.
All right, great, thank you, Gordon. Any questions for Gordon at all? I'm not seeing any hands raised. We'll go down to item number 7, which is consent items. Gordon referenced the report. I'm going to echo, it's a fantastic report. Again, just like Josh's PowerPoints, it gets better every time. So really valuable information in that. So thank you, staff, for that. There are no committee reports to read out this meeting. And then item C, we did not have any requests for letters of support and recommendation. And then item D, the annual reports have been submitted and are in your packet. And then again, if you have any call for agenda items for the next meeting, please email those to coc@rivco.org. And then Tanya, do you want to handle the announcements?
Yeah.
Before we move on to the announcements, there actually was a report generated for the Youth Advisory Committee and Youth Action Board by Cordell Thomas.
Okay.
They did have a meeting on the 17th, and the report is in the Google Drive document as well for review.
Okay. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. So, Donna, did you have a question or comment?
I just want to make a comment that our board of directors approved yesterday a $500,000 matching grant to CVAG to match with other cities to continue with the CV Housing First program in the Coachella Valley.
Thank you, Donna. You know how much I wanted that. So. No, I have to say the Desert Healthcare District, and I think many of you have seen like our collaborative report and all that. They've been a huge partner in the Valley, and I know we've even added some other healthcare partners to the CoC, like Molina and Anthem as well. So they play a vital role in all of us together. So thanks, Donna. All right, Tanya, announcements.
Yes, awesome. So I just wanted to share that we have another upcoming webinar as part of our multidisciplinary approaches to ending homelessness, which is scheduled for next month, April 22nd from 10 to 11:30. We'll make sure that we send out the flyer and a formal announcement to all of you. But I did just want to give you a sneak peek of who is going to be featured. We have the City of Riverside and City of Corona joining CityNet to provide an overview of their non-congregate shelter programs in both cities. We also have CVAG, just talking about CVAG, Coachella Valley's Association of Governments, talking about their CV 200 initiative, which has targeted some of the hardest to reach chronically homeless individuals and super utilizers of the healthcare system. And they've been placing those individuals into crisis stabilization housing using also a similar non-congregate shelter approach. And of course, we're also including the Housing Authority's Project Room Key program. So we will get to hear from that team and the great successes they've had to date, which has included placing over 350 people into permanent housing in the last year. Like super duper incredible. The other announcement is we just wanted to make sure you'll see a link here to the United Lift program. Anybody who is behind on their rent anywhere in Riverside County, would want to access this link, complete an application to receive assistance with past due rent. Many special thanks to United Way and Lift to Rise, who have been working closely with our county department, HHPWS, to administer that program. Mike Walsh is here, so I'll have to give him a shout out because he has been leading that effort. And then last but not least, we are going to be releasing 3 bids in the very near future in the next couple of days for the Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG CD2. A lot of money at the table. There's $31 million that will be available through this RFP to support street outreach, emergency shelter, and rental assistance. If you're listening and you're interested, we want you to apply. Again, this effort is really looking at coordinating each of those different activities so that we can provide more coordinated and targeted reach to each of the 5 supervisory districts. So please, and I really mean that, we need you in this effort. A lot of good work and great, I think, movement will happen out of this program, which we'll be happy to report on once that gets launched. So keep an eye out. An email will be going out in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Emma.
Yes, thank you. So 2 questions, and I'm sorry for the background noise. So the first, regarding the United Lift link, is that something that we direct individuals to submit applications or agencies submitting it on their behalf?
Individuals or agencies on their behalf.
Okay, perfect. And then secondly, regarding the Emergency Solutions Grant, I was wondering if our department, Animal Services, would be able to apply for funding for our temporary housing pet boarding program. If we're not able to directly apply for it, are we able to partner with some of the agencies that we're currently working with that have clients in Project Room Key or Bridge Housing or in transitional housing?
Emma, I am going to schedule a follow-up meeting with Lindsay Sisti, our project manager, who took the day off to get a new puppy. So she's not here today, and I'm doing my best to fill in for her. But I think, ESG funds can be used to pay for supportive service costs. like daycare and legal services. So I think that is an innovative idea, and we're always looking for those. So let me set something up with her. She's the guru here, and we can do some research. I think it's a creative suggestion. I'd love to follow up.
Thank you so much. I had actually reached out to her previously, and she had told me, and I don't know if it's the same funding, that we were not eligible, but that we were eligible for CDBG funding. And I just want to kind of put the message out there that, we are in need of funding. Our department is subsidizing these funds. We don't have it. I was using CARES funds for a lot of these efforts, but I currently have 12 animals at our shelter, 2 of which that have been here over 90 days. And it costs us $20 a day to board an animal here. And that doesn't include any veterinary care that we're providing or additional enrichment. So it is a pretty significant cost to us. And we're willing to continue to do it because we want to be a partner in these efforts. But, I do want to put the call out there that it is a need that we have.
I'll let you know. I'm on a call this afternoon with the state at 3. So you bet I'll be asking them the question, and I'll follow up with you. If not ESG, I agree. We can be, creative and look at other sources of funding. CDBG, I could see why she pulled you there, because there tends to be a little bit more flexibility. That we'll do research for you.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I feel like I'm a broken record.
No, the majority of our people have pets, so this is an important conversation.
Thank you, Tanya. All right, I'm not seeing any further hands raised. We're only 6 minutes over time, so if we don't have anything else from staff, I want to thank staff. Karen, thanks as the vice chair, and everybody for participating today. And we will stand adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to our chair and vice chair and all of our speakers today. We appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Stay safe, everyone.